Well, hey guys, Captain Cook here. So glad you could join me. We're here today. We're going to talk about a couple of things, but one thing we're going to talk about is your anchoring system, and that's kind of tying into the second section. So I got a friend, and he recently started kayak fishing. Now he's no stranger to kayaks or canoes, and he uses a parking pole, as I do. Now I'm not sure if this is a Yakgear 6-foot parking pole, push pole, and not sure if this is what he uses, but it'll work for him. So his main, he was telling me one of his main complaints about using this. Now he uses this parking pole, and he'll stake it out, and he's got a rope on it. So we'll show you how that looks. I got a rope back here. Yeah, we do. Okay. So we'll slide it over it. Yep. Let's do the other end. Slide it over it and show you what he does. So he ties his rope around his stakeout pole, his parking pole, and whatever he does with it, where he ties it, I don't know. But his problem is this thing is sliding, right? So at water level, you're probably pretty good. But when this thing starts leaning over and you start pulling this way and you're up high, you're probably going to pull your parking pole loose. And I know that's a problem. There's no doubt about that. So what I've done is, and while we're here, let me show you a little something too. Here's how I do mine. All right. As you can see here, I have the Yakgear trolley system. This is the lever lock, and all I do is this. I take it, I put it through the D-ring, stick it in the mud or the sand or whatever, and then I can move this thing anywhere. If I want the bow pointing one way, the stern pointing another way, I can do that. And that's usually what I do. And it's been working well, but we'll talk about that later. So what I've done to solve his problem, and probably going to solve my problem, is I have designed and 3D printed something. So, well, let's go inside. Let's 3D print it. Then we'll come back out here and show you how it works. All right, so we're back outside. So here they are. Now what I've done with these, when I designed these, I actually put a hole in them. Then I dropped it. I designed them with a hole, right? Proper size hole, it's 5.1656, and threaded this with a 1/4 tap. All right, where a 1/4 thumb screw will screw right into it. Got 2 of them. So how this works is like this. So we'll take one of our rings and we'll slide it up, tighten it down. Now we're going to take our rope, our ankle rope, and get it right into this thing, and we'll slide it on our parking pole. Then we're going to put the other ring on, and we can tighten that down. Now what we have is, and you can change your whatever depth. Now your rope is here. It will not go. I mean, you can move these if you want to move this thing up and keep it that tight. You can do that. So I really think this is going to solve his problem. And we can move them anywhere we want. That's the cool thing about them. If I want that much distance between them, I'm allowing that rope to move that much. We have that option. And there's products out there you can buy. These, you got to get them just right. This parking pole is 22.1 millimeter. 22, we'll call it 22 millimeters. And you can buy these rubber things you can slide on there and move up and down. But hey, you know, I'm gonna, if I see it, I'm gonna make it myself. So yeah, so that's how that works. So I'm gonna give him a set of these and help him out a little bit. So here's where we come to our second part. So we talked about how I put my parking pole through my D-ring and just move around. Just move around with it, right? But I'm gonna tell you what this little part is about. It's about life safety. All right. So if I'm out there fishing and say a boat is coming real close to me, throwing big wake, and I may need to turn and get bow into his wake. So I've got to get this out of here, right? Now some places I fish don't have sand bottoms. They have a mucky mud bottom. And what happens is you just don't pull this out. You just don't pull this out. Sometimes I have to take both hands and I've got to wiggle and get it, you know, and get it to break loose. And that's valuable time. That's you know, that may cost you getting flipped over. And I don't want to get wet. I don't want to flip out. I don't want to fall out my kayak. I don't want to do that. So here's what I'm doing with mine, and I'm going to use these same rings I printed here for this one. But what I'm going to do is this. So let's go ahead and take this out. All right, we'll pull that ring off. Slide the rope out with it. So this is my, let's put that over there. All right, so I've got about 8 foot of rope here. I decided that's what I want to fish with, 8 feet of rope. 8 feet of rope. I have an eye splice here, and I have an eye splice here. Guys, I'm not very good at eye splicing. They will hold. You know, I got tape on them, mostly because they're ugly, but they are eye splices and they will hold. I pull that truck with it, so I know they will hold. This is a 3/8 inch rope. Not the best rope in the world. It's just some cheap rope. You know, I bought 25 feet up for $10 at Lowe's, but it's going to, you know, it's going to serve its purpose. So this end, the small end, that's what goes on the parking pole, because it will not slip over these rings I made here. And this end is going to go up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this end, and it's going to go up through my D-ring on my Yakgear anchor trolley. Now this is just rudimentary. This is nothing fancy. This is not permanent. This is something, you know, temporary. I've got a breakaway where I can just hook it through like so. And it's going to stay right here. I'll have this. And now this thing is going to hook, this end will hook to my parking pole, right? And so I can drift off a little bit. I'll drift off a little bit, and I can move this thing to the bow. I can move this thing to the stern, just like I did when I would put the actual parking pole through the D-ring. But what we're talking about, the life safety issue is, if something happens, and I need to break away quick, you know, all I gotta do is pull that, it comes loose, and it goes through the D-ring. I do what I gotta do, then I can come back and recover my anchor rope. Now, you may want to put a float on this. I don't. Not, you know, my Yakgear parking pole floats. So if something happens there, it's going to float. But this is going to stay in the sand or mud, and I'll just come back, recover my rope, recover my parking pole, and be about my way. And I realized, you know, I realized that what I was doing by putting my my parking pole through here, I was really, you know, risking capsizing, because, you know, like I said, when I fish in that mud, I may not be able to get this thing out, or it'll take me a minute to get it out. But with this you know, you just snap it in, and like I say, guys, this is temporary, but it's going to be mounted there. I'm going to have a you know, a lanyard such as this, or something, you know, something like easy I can get to, easy I can get, you know, get a hold of, and pop it loose, and this thing will, and I can leave it alone and come back and live another day to fish. So guys, that's what I've got for today. You know, some helping a friend out, and helping myself out with some life safety issues. You know, life safety. We want to be safe out there and protect ourselves. And I think with this breakaway, it will. You know, because you know, I've thought about it for a long time, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, what am I going to do? You know, getting this thing out of sand, a sandy bottom, is one thing, but you know, some places I fish have that mud that just wraps around it. You know, I think if you fell in and got your feet up to your knees down in it, I don't know that you get out of it. I don't know that you get out of it. But that's what I've got, guys. So my buddy Kevin, I'm gonna make him a couple of them. They work really well. You see, we 3D printed these. This is ABS, so you don't have to worry about it warping in the heat, the sun, because that's what we do. We fish in the heat and the sun, and you can just slide them on. Keep your rope where it needs to be. Tighten it down a little bit. Now, these are not stainless. Could not get stainless thumb screws at Lowe's. I do suggest using stainless. These will rust quickly in salt water. Fresh water, maybe not so much. But yeah, that's what I got, guys. I do thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. I worked all day on guys, I am not the best at eye splicing. Never really messed with it much. It does what it's supposed to, but check out some videos online, and you can learn how to, you know, splice up an eye that'll work for you. You know, this is 3/8 rope. You can use thicker if you want, bigger, but you got to remember when you release it, this has got to be able to pass through that D-ring. Don't get stuff too big that's going to get hung up. You know, you don't want to put stuff on there that's going to hang up on that D-ring. You want it to slip right through. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. You guys take care, and take care of each other.